Good evening, America. Hello, Chicago. And what's up, West Side? This is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. You could have been doing anything on this Father's Day, and you chose to come hang out with me today at Black Excellence Hour. And as always, I appreciate the company. If you are watching live on the Black Excellence Hours Facebook page, on the Intellectual Radio YouTube page, or on intellectualradio.com, please be sure to share the live. First things first, happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day. You all know that I love Father's Day because I love my daddy. So we're going to talk about my daddy. Y'all know we're going to talk about him. And then we're going to just go over a couple of news items. And today, my guest is Mr. Howard Ray Sr. He is the father of Howard Ray Jr., who is over the We Ran organization, and they have a very unique perspective on reparations and how they should be paid here in the state of Illinois. This is a wonderful day, and as always, we're going to start with a dose of self-esteem from the greatest president to ever do it, and that is Mr. Donald John Trump Sr. We, the Chicago Red organization, on Tuesday, we are taking a bus from the west side of Chicago to the Trump rally in Racine. We have a couple of seats still open and available. So if you want to join us on our trip, be sure to let me know so that we can get you on the bus. There is no cost, no fee to get on the bus. We also have lunch, and we're going to have an opportunity, hopefully, to take pictures with the president and just, get our what's ups on, because as I shared with you, the president is coming to the city of Chicago at the end of the month. He will be here at the end of the month, and we are having our warm up, and that again is us going to Racine. Let's listen to why again Black Chicago is joining MAGA. Roll tape. Oh wait, hold on. We didn't have that tape ready. Let's try it again. Let's try that one more time. Again, because people think that we are nuts. Well, now they don't actually. They know that we are not nuts. And they also know that we are serious, which is why we have the entire Democratic Party on the ropes right now. Roll tape.
After years of building up other countries, we are finally building up our country, standing up for our workers and fighting for our forgotten communities. The first and highest duty of government is to take care of its own citizens. African Americans built this nation through generations of blood, sweat, and tears. And you, like all of our citizens, are entitled to a government that puts your needs, your interests, and your families first.
That's it. That's all. That is why we are going with Donald Trump. Again, we need a president that is going to put us first, put the American people first. Stop telling us that we are lumped in with immigrants, because we are not. We are not lumped in with those people. We have nothing in common with the people of color. We have nothing in common with the people who are coming over the border by the boatload. We have absolutely nothing in common with any of these people, but they keep on pushing the lie that, again, African Americans are the same as the illegals. We're not. We're not. We're not. We're not. We will not accept this. And that's it. So, again, we heard that message from Donald Trump. Let's hear this other one that we normally open the show with. That was something new, because we also have some audio today. Not only did we have Donald Trump convincing us to leave the Democratic Party, but I got some audio today or yesterday from our mayor, Brandon Johnson. He also made a very unique appeal for us to leave the Democratic Party. He thought he was just talking about the previous administrations, but he was actually talking about the Democrats, and it fully aligns with everything that we have going on here. But first things first, let's hear from my Donnie. Roll tape.
African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that. Okay, I don't know if you know that. You're just starting to get, you built the nation. We all built it, but you were such a massive part of it. Bigger than you were given credit for. Does that make sense? Right? But through generations of blood, sweat, and tears, and you deserve a government that defends your interests, protects your families, and cares for our own citizens first.
What happened? Let's see what happened. What happened to Donnie? Huh. Let's see. Come on back. Keep going. There we go.
My administration is fighting with everyone and all our heart to reverse the pain inflicted by Democrat leaders and to deliver hope and opportunity and prosperity for all Americans, but for African American communities all throughout our land. Our agenda is lifting up citizens of every background, race, religion, color, and creed. But while we are fighting every day to build up our nation, the far left only wants to wreck, ruin, and destroy our nation.
All right. Again, that was Donald Trump. Now, again, not only do we have Donald Trump telling us to dump the Dems, but Brandon Johnson, Mayor Brandon Johnson, he did a press conference.
Building a better
hold on.
We are
Hold on, Brandon. Hold on, not yet. So Brandon did a press conference a couple days ago, and he was talking about how the city of Chicago has been hurt by previous administrations. Now, it's very, very important to remember that the previous administrations were all Democrats, okay? And the person that he's talking about the most is Rahm Emanuel, who is the darling of the Democratic Party. And I think that Brandon thought that he was making a flex against them, but he's really telling all of us to get away from the Democrats and dump the Dems. Roll tape.
Building a better, stronger, safer Chicago. And as we know, the Gold Green Griot that is telling our stories, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the fact that previous administrations have been quite hostile to our communities. They have closed public schools. They have closed public education systems. They have closed down public housing. They have sold off the Skyway. They sold off the parking meter. They raided pensions. They left this mess. But aren't you glad that you got people who are prepared to tell a better story of how we invest in people?
We're going to roll that back again. Everything Brandon is talking about, he is talking about the Democrats. Let's roll that tape one more time. We're going to play that every week until the election. Brandon is telling us what's wrong with the Democrats. Let's listen again.
We are building a better, stronger, safer Chicago. And as we know, the Gold Green Griot that is telling our stories, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge the fact that previous administrations have been quite hostile to our communities. They have closed public schools. They have closed public education systems. They have closed down public housing. They have sold off the Skyway. They sold off the parking meter. They raided pensions. They left this mess. But aren't you glad that you got people who are prepared to tell a better story of?
Yes. And that better story is dump the Dems and come join MAGA. Because, see, even if Brandon or Mayor Brandon says that they're going to do something else and invest in people, it's still the same platform and the same party and the same tricks. It's just a new face. So, again, we are moving on very quickly, very rapidly from the Democratic Party. Moving on. Let's talk really quickly about Father's Day. As y'all know, I am a daddy's girl. That's why my name is P. Ray, after Ray himself, Ray Easley, my daddy. A real live Chicago legend. And so, one thing that when I was a little girl, he really pushed on me to be logical and know how to read, write, and count very well, because he said he did not want people to be able to count my money faster than me. So when I told him that I was going to go to college and major in journalism, he said, "No, you're not." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because you have been doing this your whole life. You know how to research. You know how to go and report. You know how to write. I've been showing you how to do that since you were 4 years old. You don't have to go to school to know how to do that. You gonna go to school and you gonna learn how to do finance, how to count, how to read budgets, how to invest money. That's what you are going to do because again, you're going to need money to fund everything that you want to do. So I grew up as a, like I said, very ingratiated into the Democratic Party on the West Side. And so he would come home because he was one of the leaders and give me all of these stories, or I would go to the meetings with him and then we would debrief together. And I would always tell him, like, yo, daddy, this ain't working. We got to come up with something new. And he said, I know, Ray. And that's why you got to go to school and get you a job with some money so that you can fund whatever you want to do because they ain't going to give you no money to get rid of them. They ain't gonna give you, they're not gonna help you. So you gotta go get you a corporate gig in order to pay for what you want to do. And hot damn, wasn't he telling the truth? Shout out to Daddy for having the plan from the beginning. He is a West Sider to the core. He was born on Loomis and Adams over there where the police academy is now. That was actually tenement housing. He went to Skinner Elementary, then he went to Hess Upper Grade Center, and then he went to Austin High School for a week. He said, this too much for me. Then he went to Marshall for 2 weeks and was like, this still too much. And then he transferred himself to Roosevelt High School on the north side where my mom was, because he said that it was a better situation for him. And so he was a basketball player, and my grandmother saw him in the newspaper under Roosevelt High School. So she pulled him to the side and she's like, hey, you go to Roosevelt? I thought you went to Marshall. And he said, no, mom, sorry, I had to sign your name and get out of there. I've been going to Roosevelt for years now. So even his whole life, he's been doing everything he wants to do himself. And that's where I get it from. I'm just like him, except I'm small. So when people see me, they're like, oh my God, you're such a petite woman. I thought you were a big person. That's because in my mind, I'm a 6'2" grown man, just like my daddy. Moving on. Happy Father's Day to all of the daddies out here that are doing their thing. Not the fathers, because the fathers make the babies, but the daddies are the ones who keep our country great. Moving on. I want to again mention to everybody that this is Black Music Month. Be sure to play you some Black music this month. We know that P. Ray loves the Isley, so shout out to the Isley brothers. Who's That Lady is my theme song, but we can't play it on air. Moving on. I do want to give you all a couple of reasons, again, why we are leaving the Democratic Party. Not only has the Democratic Party disrespected us in modern times, but we know for a fact that the Democratic Party was the party of the Confederacy. They said that, I'm sorry, author Michael Shore stated that the Democratic Party is the party of 4 S's: slavery, succession, segregation, and socialism. Again, slavery, succession, segregation, and now socialism. Remember that it was the Democrats that implemented the fugitive slave laws to keep Black people from leaving the plantations. They also were the ones who put out the Dred Scott decision. The only dissenting voice in the Dred Scott decision was a Republican, last name Harlan. Everybody else were Democrats, and they were the ones who pushed to classify Blacks as property. The Democrats also passed the Missouri Compromise, and they wanted to spread slavery into 50% of the new states. They also pushed and achieved the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, and that was designed to spread slavery into all new states. Once they figured out that they could not push slavery how they wanted to, they formed the Confederacy and they succeeded from the Union, and they actually declared war on the United States from 1861 to 1865. This was the Democratic Party declaring war on the Republican Party because they did not want to free Black people. They've always hated Black people. I also want to point out that 300,000 white Republicans were killed in the Civil War to free slaves. So when we talk about this white Republican boogeyman and all this kind of stuff, we have to remember that there are a whole lot of dead Republicans in the ground who did that to defeat the Democratic Party and get us out of the jam that we were in. We also know that the Democratic Party formed the Ku Klux Klan, which was their guerrilla warfare arm, and it started in 1865 with the goal to kill Republicans. Again, it was just not about black folks. It was about killing Republicans because they were defeated during the Civil War. During the Klan's reign, 3,000 Republicans were killed. 1,000 of them were white. 2,000 of them were black Republicans. Keep that in mind. They also took control of the Congress in 1892, and they passed the Repeal Act that overturns all of the civil rights legislation that the Republican Congress, the colored congressmen, did from 1866 to 1875. It took Republicans 6 decades to push the civil rights legislation. So even though people are talking about this was Lyndon B. Johnson, he was only the president that signed it. It was actually the Republicans in Congress that pushed the civil rights legislation. And if you do your research, you will see that the majority, if not all, civil rights legislation in this country was pushed by the Republican Party. In the modern civil rights era, we had the Democrats led by people like Eugene Bull Connor, who let dogs loose on civil rights demonstrators. We had the governor of Georgia, Lester Maddox, who brandished an axe and handles to keep black people from going to his restaurant. We also had the Democratic governor, Ali Fabus, down in Arkansas, and he tried to prevent the desegregation of Little Rock public schools. We also had the Democratic governor of Alabama, George Wallace, stood in front of the Alabama schoolhouse and said, segregation now, segregation tomorrow, segregation forever. These were Democrats. Then I also did some research because yesterday David Duke was at the AmeriFest that Turning Point USA put out. And so you had all of these Democrats saying, oh, look, the Republicans had an actual Klansman at their events. Well, I did my research on David Duke, and David Duke was a Republican. He joined the Republican Party in 1989. From that point before, he was a member of the Democratic Party from the beginning. When he was down in Louisiana, when he was a Klansman, when he did all of the things he was doing it as a Democrat. He only left the Democratic Party in the late 1980s to push back against to push back against the notion that the Democrats were not were a racist organization. So then he took that energy and he went to infect the Republican Party, just like the Dixiecrats did in the 50s. Again, the Republicans are not the racist boogeyman. It is the Democratic Party. Keep it in mind. And now that you know this, you got to be a damn fool to support the Democratic Party in 2024 with all of this information and all of this data and all of this audio and all of these videos and all of the civil rights movies. Every time you watch a civil rights movie, know that the white people attacking the black people in the movie are Democrats. This week, our people down in Tulsa, Oklahoma, put forth a case to sue for them bombing Black Wall Street. These people are all like in their hundreds. And that case was dismissed. Well, friends, remember the people who went to Black Wall Street and dropped bombs on them and set them on fire and burned their businesses and killed the people and raped the women, those were Oklahoma Democrats. These were Democrats. These were Democrats. These were Democrats. And again, my friends, we are better than that, which is why we are putting on our shoes, tying them up real tight, and running to the right. I also want to again remind you that we are going to Racine on Tuesday. So if you want to go, hit P Ray up. Let me know that you want to go, and I will find a spot for you or a way for you to get there. If you do not ride the bus with us, you cannot get in with us. Okay, we're going VIP. We got the wristbands. We're sitting in the front row. We're going to talk to the president and all that good stuff. Moving on. Not only were the Democrats doing these things, but I also want to play Jim Crow Joe for you. So right now, you know, they're trying to trick us into voting for Jim Crow Joe again. And we're not doing it at all because, again, we got good common sense. I want you all to listen to your president. Again, this is the man that all of these black Democrats have gotten paid to trick you into voting for. I want you to listen to what he said so that you can know for yourself that one, these people do not care about you, but beyond that, that Jim Crow Joe has actually earned his name. Roll tape.
Piece of crack cocaine, no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, $1/4 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of Senator Thurmond and myself and others, a law that says if you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. Under our forfeiture statutes, the government can take everything you own, everything from your car to your house, your bank account, not merely what they confiscate in terms of the dollars from the transaction that you've just got caught engaging in. They can take everything. I don't care why they become a sociopath. We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society. They are in jail, away from my mother, your husband, our families. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
Now, remember, Jim Crow Joe's son just got caught and convicted for selling crack cocaine or doing crack cocaine and being a gun owner. So if he is not trying to do that to his son, he was only trying to do it to Black people. And if you listen to this clip, he said that him and Strom Thurmond were the ones who put this together. We know that Strom was a racist, baby. That was a Dixiecrat because, again, he is the last living Dixiecrat, which is why, again, we are getting ourselves away from Jim Crow Joe as fast as we can. Nothing will happen to you. You won't lose your good government job. You won't do any of that, but try to save the country for your children as you should. With all that being said, let's get to our guests. First, we're going to bring on our co-hosts. Mark, are you with me?
Yep, right here.
Yes, welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Yep, we're here to ride shotgun. One thing you left out, it was a Republican from Missouri that introduced the anti-lynching bill that the Democrats blocked for decades.
Tell us more about that.
I can't remember his name, but he introduced the bill, I believe, in 1921. Mm-hmm. And every year he kept reintroducing it the same way the people were reintroducing that Laquan McDonald bill. And the Democrats would just filibuster it to death.
That's what they've been doing with the HR 40 bill, too.
Yeah. And I'm independent, so I don't have a particular whatever one way or the other.
Well, I love.
But having said that,
I love Donnie.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I love Trump. That's all. So
yeah,
I'm MAGA, not really Republican. But yes, I get it.
Yeah. So why don't we get to our guest because he's been waiting for about half hour.
Tell us about your guest. Tell us about the guest before I bring him on.
Okay. Howard Ray Sr. is the son of the mastermind, Howard Ray Jr., who came up with this reran scheme for reparations, and I say sustainable reparations. Mm-hmm. This is not about studying the thing yet again, because there are already a bunch of studies out there. What we don't need is more studying. What we need are payouts. So the referendum, which they're collecting signatures for now, nominated petition signatures for now, would go to the November 5th ballot, about the same time as recall this fall referendum, if it makes it. And unlike some of the other reparation schemes, it would it would cancel property taxes, mm-hmm. and it would also provide a payout from sales taxes exclusively for those who are descendants in Cook County, because it's a Cook County referendum, for those who are descendants in Cook County of those who were in chattel slavery in the United States. So, sorry, Puerto Ricans, sorry, Jamaicans, and all that. This is not
they got to go
about
back to see the crown.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty much. And it would provide those. It would provide that in terms of reparations, and that would be a more sustainable approach than all these studies that are going on. In fact, if you listen to the clips from the press conference, the post-game press conference for the last city council meeting, you'll hear the mayor, Brandon Johnson, cut me off when I'm trying to explain it and use it for his talking points as far as Chicago. It's not about Chicago. It's about Cook County residents and helping them generate or recreate family wealth. Because if you don't have to pay property taxes, that's more money you can save up for creating generational wealth. Same thing with the sales tax payouts, which I kind of describe as Black universal income. But the thing is, we don't put Black on the petitions, so they can't go after us like they have Evanston.
Got you. Okay, well, let's pull our guest on. Mr. Ray?
Yes, hello.
Yes, sir. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Well, thanks for having us on. I would like to say a good evening to everybody, and thanks for having us on. First of all, happy Father's Day to your audience. Yeah, my name is Howard Ray Sr. I am the dad of the mastermind of this crafty audience that we put down there. Okay, so first of all, before I get started, I would just love to encourage your listener to visit our website at www.reranforblacks.com, and reran is spelled RERANFORBLACKS.com. And I am the father. I am a Vietnam vet, and I'm used to fighting. So this is something that's really worth fighting for. So I'm standing with my son, in this fight. And I would like to say what RERAN stands for. It stands for Reconstruction Era Reparation Act Now. And you talk about Reconstruction reparation. That was the period between 1865 and 1877, when the 40 acres were given to some freedmen, and then only to be taken back and given back to the Confederate. So that's it. Go ahead.
No, sir. Go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm clearing my throat.
Okay. That's it. Before I would like to do this for added convenience of your audience. We will just love to email petition directly to you for printing and signing, please, in black ink only, no blue ink. Completed petition can be dropped off at Emerson Park, located at 6200 West Bloomingdale Avenue, on June 23rd, 2024, where a notary will be available to assist you. If you got them all filled out, the notary will be right there. They'll be able to notarize them right there while you're there. Okay, to discover more about RERAN movement and its positive impact on our life, please visit, as I said before, reran.com. So, to receive a petition via email, please leave your contact information at info, INFO, at black.com. We can text, you can text your information to 773 817 3726. And your ongoing support, we really need it. We need to get lots of petitions signed, and in order to get this referendum on the ballot for November the 5th, we need at least we said 100,000, but we want more, because we know there will be challenges, because most people don't want this to exist. And I would just like to say some of the good things that reran. What it is, we're not adding no additional taxes to nobody. And just because, say, that the descendants of formerly enslaved people are not paying property tax, there won't be any additional burden on nobody else. I don't care what color they are. It will not be no additional burden on nobody, because there is no additional tax. What we've done is, matter of fact, we get these 100,000 petitions, we're going to demand that 3 cents, not 3%, but 3 cents from every transaction within the Cook County area be reallocated to an account that will be set up within the Cook County Treasury Department. That account, each time there's a transaction, maybe at the end of the month, whenever they do the calculation, those funds will be transferred to that account for the purpose of paying descendants of formerly enslaved people property tax. And what's happening here, we're gonna collect more funds that are needed to pay for all the property taxes.
Mr. Ray, I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
So then, would these reparations only be available to property owners?
Actually, what happened if we get this passed? This will help. This will help any person of descendant of slave get property. Matter of fact, because what you're looking at now, 75, 80% off a mortgage is due because of property taxes. So without property taxes, more people will be able to own homes. And, it just makes sense. And we got people who are leaving. We got some people who are leaving the state, particularly the city and the county, because of the high cost of property taxes. People on fixed income, they are not able to continue to pay those property taxes. So what do? They pack up and leave. Matter of fact, they're moving south, west, any place where the taxes, they are not as high. So we feel like doing this is making it possible for your young adults also to own their own home. Some young kids, they're working, but they're not getting paid higher, and their salary not enough to qualify. And go ahead.
With the 3 cents collected, would that then go into a fund to help people purchase homes?
But actually, as I said, if there are no property taxes, they'll be able to do it. Instead of your mortgage being $2,000 a month, without taxes, your mortgage probably won't be $1,000 a month. It might be $800, because for the first 15 to 20 years, what you're paying is nothing but property tax. You get a 30-year fixed mortgage. First 10, 15 years, what you're paying nothing but property taxes. So that said, without property taxes, the average person making $40,000, $50,000 a year will be able to own a home, a bigger and better home in whatever community they might want to live in, as long as it's in Cook County.
Yes, sir.
So that's how that goes.
So I have another question for you.
Could you explain this? Hold on for a minute. Could you explain this community committee scheme you all have? Well, because my first question when I heard about it was, okay, who would be in charge of this money to go to the communities to reinvest?
We'll do that. Here's we have a plan, but we have to take step at a time, one at a time. Once this plan is put in place, there will be a community committee. Not just there will be people from various communities who will be in charge, will be the oversight of this funds at the Cook County. Cook County would not be able to just spend the money the way they want it.
So this will be done by neighborhoods or municipalities as opposed to just interest.
Yeah. See, now, each neighborhood, they can have as many people on their committee as they want. But when it comes to this committee that's over there, there's going to be the oversight over this fund, it will be one person from each community. That's the way that's going to work.
And when you say community, is that broken down by ward? Is that broken down by neighborhood? How are the communities defined?
Probably by neighborhoods.
Okay.
Like you got like.
So just to clarify, in Chicago, it would be by neighborhoods, and in let's say suburban Cook County, it would be by municipality. And I'm thinking the unincorporated areas, it would be by township. Is that correct?
Some similar to that. Like I said, that's a whole lot of detail. We haven't gotten into there because we're taking one step at a time. So when we get there, we have something for it. We'll figure out the best way to deal with that. But
so right now, the immediate goal then is to get it on the ballot and approved, and then to work out the other stuff later on.
That's what we're working now because it's hard getting it on the ballot. Mm-hmm. They require you to have so many signatures, so we need a lot of people to work with us to get it on the ballot. Once we get on the ballot, all of those kinks will be worked out. We have an general idea how it's going to go, but once we get it on the ballot and get it passed, bingo, everything falls in place. We pretty much got it in place already. We just haven't detailed it yet.
I have another question for you. How are you qualified? How are we qualifying people to benefit from this? Because we know that we have, like you said, it's not for the Puerto Ricans, it's not for the Caribbeans. How are we going to define ourselves, define and exclude?
Okay, it goes like this. If you prove that you are a descendant of formerly enslaved people who was freed by the 13th Amendment, you will qualify. Now, how do you qualify? There are more than the ways that I'm going to tell you, but this, we have something called the Freedmen Act. That was done right after the 13th Amendment, and they have records. They have lots of records about who were, the people who was enslaved. Mm-hmm. And then we have what you call African American Ancestry.com. They do a pretty good job of finding your roots, where you're from, and if they say you were from Africa someplace, to me that means you were brought over here pretty much by slavery, during the slave time, transportation.
So is that the DNA based? Is that based on records on the African American ancestry?
That's a DNA base. Okay.
So I'm just asking you these questions because I'm getting comments and then I'm thinking myself. So one thing that I was married to a West African man for a number of years, and I would always talk to him about doing the DNA test. And what he shared with me is that he didn't believe in them because the migratory nature of West African people shows us that the people who are there now may not have necessarily been the people who were there 300 years ago. And the fact that these borders in Africa did not exist before 1960. And there is evidence that West African people were already moving back and forth to North America before the white man ever showed up. So are we just looking for people who have African ancestry? Are we looking for people who can trace their people back to the 1870 census? What exactly are we looking for?
Well, we're looking for descendants of formerly enslaved people. We're not worried about where they came from in Africa. Mm-hmm. We're only worried about they have to define that they are descendants of formerly enslaved people who were freed by the 13th Amendment. That's what we want. And if you do a background check backwards, I guarantee you'll find that the average African American right now, they'll trace their herds right back to the slave time, back 1870, before 1870.
Yes,
so
sir.
That's what we're looking for.
Because I know that the main thing that people always talk about is getting people qualified. And when we talk about this qualification, because I'm in these reparations groups, people have all of these different ways on how they want to qualify people and what they're going to look at and how they're going to trace people. Some Black folks are now saying that they don't have any African in them, right? A lot of Black people are saying, well, I am Native. Okay, I am Native. My people are Native. The white man lied and reclassified us. So that's why I'm asking.
Well, if they feel like that, they don't want to be a part of their reparations. That's fine.
They want reparations, but they don't see themselves as originating in Africa. They see themselves as members of the tribes that were here.
Let's put it this way: if they themselves did not originate from Africa, but their foreparents did, mm-hmm. and that's what we're looking at. We're looking at the foreparents, not for myself. If I would just say originate from Africa, no, I was born here in the United States. But my foreparents, matter of fact, we did a tree of my foreparents, and my great-grandfather was a slave. He was born a slave. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Yes, sir. But what I'm saying is, like, we got people down in Florida who say that they are with the Seminoles, right? And they say that they're natives. We got the Gullah Geechees who say, we are native to South Carolina and Georgia. I'm telling you, there's a whole swath of Black folks right now in the country who are saying we are Native people. We're not Africans. And so if we're looking at those, no, sir. What I'm saying is they're saying that even with that their Native ancestors were the ones who were enslaved. These were dark-skinned people who were reclassified.
But then
as
a lot
Black.
of the Seminoles, if you look at it, were escaped slaves.
I understand. I'm just giving y'all the pushback that I'm getting from the people. That's all. I'm speaking the comments to y'all.
Right. The pushback is good. We appreciate that. But the point is, you even though, like I said before, I'm a Native American.
Yes.
I'm not going on my nativities. I'm going off of my great-grandfather who was a slave. I have his blood in my vein. So I am a descendant of a formerly enslaved person. That's what we're talking about. If you go back and trace your lineage, you're gonna find most. I don't care what if they call them whatever you were calling them. If they trace their lineage back, they're gonna find out someplace down the line, maybe 4 or 5 generations, their foreparents were slaves at some point.
Well, let me give you a good example, P. Ray. So I consider myself Black, and I've got at least four indigenous tribes in my bloodline. Yet, on both sides of my family, we can trace our ancestry, or at least when we enter what's now the United States of America, back to ship logs or ship manifests around the 1790s.
I understand. Well, let's do this. We got a call.
And a lot of that is also backed up by birth certificates and census records.
That's what I focus.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what I focus on the most. the census records. That's why I'm just asking these questions, because again, we have all of these different nuances. Like they just had the rally for reparations in Washington, D.C. this past weekend. So everybody has their own way that they're fighting or trying to get these accomplished for us. And this is why I'm asking so many questions. But we do have a caller on the line. Welcome to Black Excellence Hour. Caller.
Hello?
Hey, welcome to Black Excellence Hour.
Hey, P. Ray, this is Dennis.
Hey, Dennis, what's going on?
No, I just want to wish everybody a happy Father's Day. And when you was talking about Brandon Johnson, P. Ray, here's the thing. Blacks need to challenge themselves of this election coming up because it's very important. Now, everybody over here complaining about the migrants and the economy. But here's the thing. We voted, I'm not including you and myself, but we over here, everybody, generally speaking, voted for these Democrats. So when you vote one Democrat that's not going to do well, guess what? You vote him out. Who you vote? Another Democrat. Look at this. Lightfoot. No, Rahm Emanuel, Lightfoot, and now Brandon Johnson. Who's next? Now after Brandon Johnson get elected out, who we going to vote in next as a Democrat? Now, we shouldn't have to do this. This is a habit that needs to be break. And that's a lesson that every Black people in the city of Chicago need to learn.
I agree. Thank you, Dennis. We got to wrap it up because I got 4 minutes. Thank you, Dennis.
Okay. Thank you.
To my guest, Mr. Ray, tell us one last time, please give us that website if we want to get more information.
Okay, it's www.reran, RERANFORBLACKS.com, COM. And then the phone number is 773 817-3736.
Say that number one more time, please.
The number 773-817-3726. Please give us a call if you have any type of question about what we've done. We'll be more than happy to sit. If you need us to, we'll sit down and explain it to you to the utmost. Just give us a call. Either way.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mr. Ray.
And we thank you very much for having us on that, P. Ray.
Anytime. You know, your son is one of my main guys. So anything for the Ray family. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, West Side people stick together.
There you go.
Show you right.
Have a great time.
Thank you, Mr. Ray.
P. Ray, why don't we tease the next show? Which will be on the 23rd?
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do a special show on the politics of country music that will feature one of the lead Black country music personalities, Radio Rod, and a very famous dancer who dances what I would call Mexican country music dancing named Chocolate Uno, who's very popular on both sides of the border.
Wow, that's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Because y'all know Beyonce tried to make us country, and now we know that we already had country music roots. So thank you for that, Mr. Armstrong, Mr. Mark Armstrong, my co-host, my shotgun. I appreciate you.
And we'll probably have some more dirt from City Hall because it's always coming out of the woodworks.
It's on and popping. Thank you, Mark, because we got to wrap it up.
You're welcome. All right.
You guys, we are at the end of the show. And I thank you so much for listening to Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem on this beautiful Sunday, Father's Day. Remember, Tuesday at 11 a.m., Chicago Red is going to the Trump rally in Racine, Wisconsin. We will be VIP guests. If you want to get on the bus, hit me up on Black Excellence Hour. Email me, text me. You know how to find me. This is Chicago. So if you want to hop on the bus, come on, because the Black MAGA movement is going. We are winning, and you guys. We deserve better, and we are about to get it. Again, this is P. Ray of Black Excellence Hour, a show for people with high self-esteem. I appreciate the company. Make sure that you get your people registered to vote. We got plenty voter registration cards. It's time for us to sign the form and do what we got to do. I love y'all. I love you. I love you. Let's go, Brandon. Dump the dims, tie up your gym shoes, run to the right, because it's on. Mwah. See you soon. Ciao.